Okay. So today we'll start with the last block of this paper, that is the Dalit philosophy. And here you see the block 4, it is all about the Dalit thinkers. And in this block particularly, we will look into the perspective of the Dalit thinkers regarding the you can say regarding the socio-economic affairs, even regarding religion, regarding the caste hierarchy, that we will see here in this block. Okay. So to begin with, so let us begin with this block. And to begin with this block, I can say the story of the will let me give some introduction background. And I can say that the story of the Dalits goes far back in history. Just a minute, please, just a minute. Hello. So good afternoon, everybody. So, hello, Mohit. Hello, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Respond.
Good afternoon,
Respond.
ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. Good afternoon. Okay, so let's begin our discussion. So you see, in this, because I am teaching you the paper on the lead philosophy, and in particularly in the last block, that is the block 4, I will discuss about the lead thinkers and how they have contributed to address the different issues that is prevalent in the society. Okay, so when we talk about the Dalits, their story goes far back in history. And Dalits, definitely they had a beginning, just like any other human beings on earth. According to many scholars, the story of Dalit is traceable to the archaeological evidence of Indus Valley civilizations, which was before 1500 BCE. BCE means before Christ era. So the people of Indus Valley civilization are the aboriginal. So when we talk about the Dalits and there, when we historically we go back, we definitely we are held in check in the Indus Valley civilizations, and we say that the people of the Indus Valley civilizations, they are the original Indians, or you can say they are the aboriginals of the Indian continent. They are generally identified as Dravidians. Okay, so when we go back in history, we say that the originals, they are the Dravidians, and this imply the fact that the ancient Dalits belong to the Dravidian culture. So because in history, we have read that the Aryans they have a nomadic lifestyles, or you can say they are the original Iranians, and because of their nomadic lifestyles, they came and settled in the Indus Valley civilizations in their syllabi. Actually, that river is named as Indu because they have they have not the syllabi of E, so that's why they uttered is as Hindu, and that thereby it continues and the name Hindustan is there. That that is history. So when we look into the fact that how uh, Dalits they came into how the Dalits they have a strong association with the Dravidians. So we say that the Dravidians they are the original Indians, and now they are called as Dalits. So you see, they are originally, they are generally identified as Dravidians, and this implies the fact that the ancient Dalits belong to the Dravidian culture. You see, when we talk about Dravidian culture, on the other hand, we also talked about Aryan culture, and the Aryan culture directly represents the Vedic culture. And historically, Vedic tradition tried to impose its ideas and ideologies on Dravidian. So, therefore, there is a continuous conflict or cultural conflict, you can say, or you can say there is a conflict between these two cultures. So, you see, there is a rivalry between the Aryas and the Dasyas. So, the Dravidian or the Dalit culture challenges the Brahmanic a hegemonic ideology, and this is how you can say India witnessed two tradition. One is the Brahmanic tradition and another one is the Shramanic tradition. Here I must tell you something about the Brahmanic and about the Shramanic tradition. Brahmanic tradition, it usually refers to the Vedic traditions. And when we talk about the Vedic traditions, again, when we go back to the early Vedic age, they are they worship every part of the nature. So there is polytheism, you can say. Why they worship every part of the nature? Because so that nature will be congenial for their self habitat here on earth. So that is the reason for which they are worshipping each and every part of the nature. So the Brahmanic tradition, usually you talk about Veda, Vedanta, you talk about Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhavacharya, Nimbaraka, Vallabha. All they are the followers of the Brahmanic tradition because they believe in the Vedic rites, rituals, and Vedic culture. So, to oppose this Brahmanic tradition, there is also another tradition that is called Shramanic tradition, or you can say the even you can see the Charvakas, because I have already in block two, I think I have already have a vivid discussion on Charvakas. You talk about Buddhism, you talk about Jainism, and they do not believe in the Brahmanic tradition, they do not believe in the authority of the Vedas, and they do not believe in Vedic rites and rituals. So therefore, they are named as Brahmanic tradition. So in India, there are two traditions are prevalent in India, and or you can say that India witnessed these two traditions. One is the Brahmanic tradition, and another one is the Shramanic tradition. So some of the hymns of Rig Veda, because when we talk about Veda, Vedas are of four types: Rig, Sham, Yajur, and Athar. So in the Rig Veda, there are some hymns that clearly stated the hostile attitude of the Vedic people towards Dalits. So in the you see how the people in the Vedic is, you can find out that there are some verses that also speaks about the Dalits, or it speaks about it promotes, encourages the caste hierarchy, or you can say that there is a hierarchy in the society, and it is also prompted by the Vedas. Similarly, many scholars they claim that the destruction of the Indus Valley civilization and the hymns of Rig Veda they are related. Okay, because in Indus Valley civilization, what happened? The Aryans they came and they settled down and they saw that there are aboriginals are there and they are named as Dravidians. So they want to impose their ideas, their ideologies, their practices, their prohibitions, everything upon the Dravidians. So there are also scholars. They says that there is the hints of the Rig Veda and the destruction of the Indus Valley civilizations. They are related. Similarly, there are also other scholars like you can say Ambedkar and others who opine that the Aryans, the people of the Vedic culture, and the Dravidians or the Dalit people belong to Indian nation, and therefore both these cultures are Indian origin. Okay, so you see, some scholars they have the view that only the Dravidians are aboriginals, and the Aryans they gradually come and settled, and there is a cultural conflict, that is cultural tussle that is going on. There are also other historians and other scholars, those who says that no, both belong to the Indian nation, and therefore both these colors, cultures are Indian origin. So there are also scholars like you can say Jyotirao Phule, Swami Dharmatirtha, Jawaharlal Nehru, Kosambi, and others who opine that Aryans are not Indian origins, rather they are invaders to India. So that we also believe, or you can say that there are also historical evidences that support this version that the Aryans, they are not original Indians, rather they are invaders to India. Okay. So what is the status of the Aryans? So who are the Aryans? Then the question will be in our mind. Aryans are ancient Iranians. So Aryans, for their Indian settlement, continuously fought against Dravidians, subjugated the indigenous people, and gradually the Dravidian become Dalits and untouchables. So this is how the story that I have initiated, the story goes on. Okay. So we can say that the Aryans, they are the invaders. They came and attacked the Dravidians and gradually overpowered the Dravidians, and they subjugate the indigenous people because on a color basis also the Dravidians they are the Dravidians are dark-skinned people, and the Aryans are they are relatively fair-skinned people. So there is always a tussle, and because of that, they try to subjugate the Dravidians or the indigenous people, and gradually the Dravidians become the Dalits, or you can say the untouchables. Okay. So, with this background, let us discuss about some ancient Dalit thinkers as the ideologically opposed to the Brahmanical system of thought. So, with this backdrop only, because this block is about all the Dalit thinkers, so with this background, let us discuss the contributions of the Dalit thinkers. Okay. So, around 5th century BC, the entire world saw the light of Asia. And Gautama Buddha, along with Mahavir, brought out a revolutionary movement against the Brahmanical tradition. Because, when we talk about Gautama Buddha particularly, he belonged to a royal family, and his original name was Siddharth. And from the transition from Siddharth to Gautam Buddha, there are four things that plays a very crucial role. What are these? One is the site of death, another one is the site of a diseased person, third one is the site of Jara, Dukha, and Marana. Jara, old age. Because of old age, because of disease, because of death, people are suffering. So there is, he saw three sides that disturbed his calmness, that is Jara, Dukha, and Marana. And the fourth side that gives him an impetus to how to make oneself free from all sorts of suffering, because he saw a sannyasi and he asked certain questions to the sannyasi, and the sannyasi said that no, I am happy, I am not at all disturbed by worldly affairs. So you see, so even in the both the Buddhism, or you talk about Jainism, both came as two reactionary movement against the dominance of Brahmanism or Brahmanical community or society. Because when we talk about Brahmanic, there is caste hierarchy is there, and there are rites and rituals are there. Sacrifices are also there. Bali Pratha is there. Sacrifices, animal sacrifice, all sorts of sacrifices are there. So, because Jainism, the priest, it is Jainism alone who talk too much about ahimsa, manasa ahimsa. Even in mentally, we can practice ahimsa, non-violence. So, even Buddha, the key word of Buddhism, you can say compassion. Compassion means even you can be compassionate towards everything, every beat, every part of the nature. That is what is understood by Gautama Buddha. So, uh, but both Jainism and Buddhism, they could not divest itself from the influence of the Hindu caste system. So Buddhism faced a different kind of problem. That is you can say the followers of the Gautam Buddha, they were considered as untouchables because of the influence of Manusmriti, because at that time Manusmriti came, and because of that it is said that the description as is given by the Manusmriti. So the followers of the Gautam Buddha, they are considered as untouchables. So after, but Buddhism spread just like a wildfire, from India to Japan to Sri Lanka to China. So you see, it just spread like a wildfire. After post-independence, thousands of Mahar Dalits of Maharashtra, they embraced Buddhism by the guidance of, Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Okay. So the Buddhist categories of thought that centered around the concept of becoming, that is Pratitya Samutpada, or you can say Anatma, that means no self or no soul. Again, the concept of Nirvana or liberation. The entire Buddhistic philosophy, you can say that it contains in the Four Noble Truths, that is, in other words, is named as Chatur Arya Shakya. Because why they are said to be the noble truths? Because these truths can be understood only by the noble persons, only by the wise persons, only by the Aryas. So therefore it is called as Chatur Arya Shakya. So the first noble truth talks about dukkha, or in other words, they say that sarvam dukkham. Whatever you see in this mundane world, whatever you come across with, that all puts you in suffering. That is the first noble to sarvam dukkham, the so-called pleasure that will also put you in trouble, because you are living with the very thought that if they will go away, then you will be in suffering. So the very thought of losing someone puts you into suffering. So the so-called pleasure is also suffering in disguise. That is what Buddha said. So that's why he said, Sarvam Dukkham, everything. The you see suffering, that which we do not get, that is no doubt it is suffering. The very thought of the losing of something, that also puts you in suffering. So there is suffering, and suffering is a universal fact, or you can say that it is a universal phenomenon. So the second noble truth that tells you not only sarvam dukkham, but also there is a dukkha samudaya. There must be a cause of suffering. What is that cause? Cause is the desire for something. That Buddha very beautifully said, kamana, kamana. That is the kamanara vinasare dukkhara vinas. If we will control, if there will be no desire, then definitely there will be no suffering. So, dukkha samudaya. The third noble truth tells you that dukkha nirodha. There can be, we can make ourselves free from all sorts of suffering. So, there is a way. We can, there is the thing, the third noble truth tells you that suffering can be ceased, suffering can be ceased. How the next question is how suffering can be ceased or how suffering can be stopped. The fourth noble truth tells you that if you will follow a particular way of life, if you will live a particular path of life, then there will be no suffering. What is that path? That path is called as Ashtanga Marga, eightfold path. That means your speech should be right, your thoughts should be right, your right concentration should be right, your living should be right. So if everything is in its proper way, then there will be no suffering only. So when you see, the entire philosophy of Buddha, it is said to be a middle path. It is said to be a Madhyama Pratipad. Because why it is called Madhyama Pratipad? Because Buddha denying all the extremes. When I told you that he talked about becoming. Becoming means being is denied, not, non-being is denied. So everything is just a flux. Everything is just like you can say everything is just like a moment in the river that is flowing down. So everything is momentary, everything is transitory, everything is just for a moment. So that means if anything is there, it is not there forever. Even they deny that nothing can be produced. They say that things are come up and they are fed away, just like the bubbles of water as they are coming up and fading away. And similarly, everything is in the process of becoming. Everything will come up and they will perish or they will gone away. So that is why it is said to be the philosophy of middle path. And again, you see, if we look at all these things, you see, Buddha's or Buddhist philosophy particularly or Buddhism in general, it propagates about humanness, equality, and humanitarian approach to all the problems of human life. So that's why when the followers of Buddha asked him some metaphysical questions like, Sir, Bhagavan, they used to address him as Bhagavan. Bhagavan, after our death, where shall we go? Where shall, where, from where I am come here, and after my death, where shall I go? He used to remain silent. So his dear student, his follower named Ananda, he used to ask him, but he didn't answer. He preferred to remain silent. Whenever pressurized to answer, so he used to give an analogy. What is that analogy? Suppose you see a bird is pierced, okay? Then you cannot calculate that the arrow in which speed the arrow came, where from where it came, and when it pierces into the body of the bird, what is the force. So this is how we do not calculate. What we do, we simply take the arrow from the body of the bird and we just give some, apply some medicines so that the wound will fill up. So this is how Buddha used to answer that because we know that there is suffering, life is suffering. So my immediate uh, duty is to how to find out the cause so that I can save the entire humanity from suffering. And I should not waste my time in speculating all these metaphysical questions. So you see, so that is the reason for which we say Buddhism it propagates humanness. It also talks about equality, equality of there is no gender discrimination. You know, at a time when Buddha, uh, some women and including his mother also, they approached Buddha to include bhikkhuni into their community, and Buddha immediately practiced that. Buddha immediately included bhikkhuni into his sanghavasa. So you see, so this is how you can say that he not only propagates humanness, he also propagates equality, and he also propagates humanitarian approach to all the problems of human life. Okay, so this is the you can say because if we say Buddhist were Dalits, because as pointed out by some scholars, so this is how Buddhas we see in the ancient period in India, Buddhism contributed for that because for Buddha there is all religion secular approach he used to maintain because there is so because a class of he has seen that a class of people gets deprived and he want to fight for them. That is the reason. So again you see there is also ancient when we talk about ancient Dalit thinkers contribution and we cannot here we cannot ignore Indian material thinkers, namely those who are named as classical materialists or whom you can say Charvakas because it derives from the root word Charuvaka. Charuvaka means sweet tongue, or you can say those who eat, drink, and merrymaking. This means they give importance only on the present life and nothing else. So these people, those who are called as materialists or those people who are called as charvakas, they believe in only four realities. What are these? Are four fundamental reality. What are these fundamental reality? Earth, water, fire, air, and they discarded. You can say they discarded ether because ether is not perceivable for them. So for them, what is the goal of life? Not to get liberation, not to go moksha, not to look for mukti, rather material wealth and physical pleasure. That is the goal. So that's why it is said that Javat Jivet Sukhan Jivet Runam Kripta Dhritam Privet. As long as I live in clarified water, though we may go for loan. So they believe in this world, they believe in this life. This life is the only life, this world is the only world, and there is no other world besides this world. Even there is no other life, there is no afterlife besides this life. And for them, the death means liberation and nothing else. So, because they are out and out materialistic in their approach, so definitely their epistemology is decided accordingly, and the epistemology is said that perception for them, perception is the only valid means of knowledge and nothing else. Uh, that's why it is said that ଯାହା ନ ଦେଖିଛି ନିଜ ନୟନ ନିଜ ନୟନେ ପରତେ ନ ଯିବି ଗୁରୁ ବଚନ. I have to give importance only. I have to validate only my sense organs. What I have not seen by the help of my sense organs, I am not going to believe in it. Okay, so uh, they says that there is everything, whatever they admit, the four fundamental elements and everything you talk about, these come from the different combinations of these four elements. So if here an objection may be raised that if the four elements earth, water, fire, air is there. From that earth, water, fire, air, how can we get consciousness? So they explain in this way that consciousness it is a byproduct of matter. Just I'll give an example, it will be clear to you. That is, suppose you have beetle leaf, you have the beetle knot as well as the beetle line. Panna, Gua, Chunna, that you say. So that is there. But you see, in any one of them, can you see the red color? No, not at all, because the color of the beetle leaf is green, the color of the beetle line is, it is white, and the color of the beetle knot, it is some sort of, you can say brown or gray or whatever it may be, but not the color red is not present in any one of them. But when you chew a beetle, you see the juice will come as a red color. Okay, so red color is not there, but when we chew it and we get the red color. Similarly, we can say that the consciousness it come out of it. The consciousness that is also similarly as from the beetle we get the red color that is not there in neither in the lime nor in the beetle nor in the knot, but we get the red color. Similarly, we get consciousness from a different combination of these four elements. Okay, so they I have already told you for them death is liberation. Nothing survives after death, so they do not believe in any supernatural entity. So they says that everything must come to the laboratory of sense experience, then only it can be said to be truth. So truth can be verifiable for them. Truth can be verifiable only by ordinary sense experience and nothing else. So besides, because you see, they say that there is naturalism, swabhavavad. You can see in the Charvak, in the classical materialism. They says that the four fundamental units, four fundamental elements, they possess some natural qualities. And because of their natural qualities, different products they came into existence. So we see the influence of naturalist thought in indigenous tradition, or you can say in the Dalit tradition. So here you see when we talk about the philosophy or when we talk about the thought of the ancient Dalit thinkers, you see nature posed as a background for the philosophical tradition of the Dalit. In the Tamil literature, you can see nature is portrayed as directly involving in the life of humans and influencing the human living and thought pattern. So the same thing is with in Odisha. In Odisha we have 64, 63 or 64 tribes are there. And here when we talk about 63 or 64 tribes, but a common pattern that you see in all the tribes is that they they depend for their religious activity, for their economic activity, or even for their social world. They believe in the nature. So nature forms a very an integrated part of the Dalit life and is living. So all these external aspects of nature are very much reflected as the internal human aspects. In my different classes, I have already told you how they have given different trees by their ancestors, and they will not cut it. So automatically there is the trees are they are preserved, or you see even some animals, totemic animals are there, so they are not going to kill the animals, they are automatically saved. So this is how you can say uh, they have internalized the value system and that is very much natural to their external behavior. So, you can say the external material world participates in the world of humans. So, they, in everything, whether they give importance on three things. One is propagation, one is production, and another one is preservation. Three, they used to practice all the Dalits, you can say. They practice these three P's: propagation, production, propagation, and preservation. So, and in all these three concepts, the you can say the nature plays a vital role in their in their in the Dalits' lives and their living also. So, the influence of nature on Tamil's thought pattern is very decisive and far-reaching also. Naturalism as well as romanticism, you can say, are the two thought patterns that pervades the entire Tamil literature. When you look at Tamil literature, because the southern part of India, it is almost, you can say, in all the southern parts you will see the Dravidian people. And when we talk about Telugu, Tamil, Karnataka, all these things are there. So you see, in their literature, we see naturalism as well as romanticism is there. So Tamil had a unique feature of naturalism. You see, uh, some days back, I was in Andhra Pradesh attending a seminar where one of the he's from Bangalore, one presenter from Bangalore, who talked about Bhutavad. Bhutavad. Okay. So that Bhutavada, that is, they says that it is naturalism. It is a part of the naturalism. Bhutavada, uh, Tolkappiyar, Tolkappiyar mentioned about Bhutavada, and what is that Bhutavada? From the air, air sound arises. From the air there is sound, because when the air passes, automatically there is a sound, and from that sound arises letters. Okay, so if you have natural, they associate everything to a how they interpret everything in a naturalistic way, and they says that there is sound, and from air there is sound, and from sound arises the letters. So they also accepted Kula Devam, that means god of cooler, god of clan, and Neela Devam, that means god of the land. Okay, so this god of land created a unison thought about the life of people with nature. So there is a unison, there is a harmonious relation between the nature and the life of the people, which is established by the middleman, you can say Neela Thaivam, or gods of the god of the land. Okay. So even the for Tamil physical world, the this world, it is true, it is real, and it is existing. That is what the Dalits perceive. That is what the Charvakas perceive. They believe in the present. They believe in this world. They believe in this present life, because future is uncertain, past is gone. Nobody is able to go back to past. Nobody has seen the future. So both are gone, so live in the present. So they also, the Tamils also, they also, just like any other ancient thinkers, they take this physical world as true, real, and existing. And they also believe in five gross elements. Five gross elements means earth, water, air, fire, ether. Earth means Prithvi, earth, water, Aap, earth, water, fire, Agni, air, Vayu, and Akasa means ether or Akasa. So they believe in these uh, you know, five gross elements, and they have the belief system that these five gross elements is the cause of the entire creations. The world, you can say, in other words, you can say, the world is composed of these five gross elements. Okay. So, nature is there only for the human interest, and even in in Tamil literature, human life in the material and the physical world, and you see the they believe that the realism, because we believe in this world, we believe that it is existing, it is real, and it is true. So realism in the ancient Tamil tradition, it is a common sense and it is a critical scientific realism, because when we talk about realism, it can be of different types, and naive realism is there. And but they do not believe in that. They believe in critical and scientific realism, and the realism is common sense realism. Because anyone who does not know philosophy, if you will ask him, he or she will say that yes, this world is real. Even to the Tamils, they have also, they believe that this world is real. So their realism is a common. They have a common sense approach to realism. So you can say ontologically, human and the external world, they are independent realities, but pragmatically, you can say they are interdependent, interconnected realities. Okay. So, as realism, by realism, we can say that both nature and human being, they are independent, but we can say that the ontologically we can say that, but pragmatically we know that they are interdependent. Man is dependent on nature, that you know, and interconnected realities. So they coexist, they mutually cooperate each other, and they coexist with each other. Okay, this is one of the, one of the Tamil way of understanding what we say, understanding of the ancient thinkers towards the Dalit philosophers. Similarly, there is also a great ancient thinker in Dalit in uh, in southern India, and whose name was Tolkappiyar, because I have already told you Bhutavada. He talked about Bhutavada, and his name is Tolkappiyar. He is the author of Tolkappiyam. Tolkappiyam means grammatical work of Tamil language. He is a, in other words, you can say that he is a grammarian. Okay, and for him, the entire world, or the entire nature, you can say, it is divided into word and substance. Okay, so what is a substance? You see anything around you, moon, sea, sun, time, trees, all are substances. And in the Tamil language, it is named as porul. Okay, Porul. And even you talk about soul, you talk about matter, all are said to be substances. So uh, here they understand human being, not as a particular substance, because human being is a holistic personality. It is a combination of both, having equal status and importance given to both body and soul. So human being is not only mere physical entity, even a human being is not only a something soul, that you cannot say, because human being, because it is the view of Tolkappiyar, the the Tamil grammarian, you can say. So human being is a holistic personality having equal status, and uh, Tolkappiyar gave importance to both body and mind. So he said that meaningful existence can only be possible with due recognition of spirit as well as matter. So you cannot talk only about spirit. Similarly, you cannot talk only about matter, as in Charvakas, they are talking only about the matter. So this is how you cannot understand, you cannot recognize the holistic personality of any human being. Rather, you have to give due recognition to both of them. So you cannot throw away one at the cost of the other. So similarly, you can say that the just a minute. So you see, there is also another Tamil ancient thinker whose name is Tirubhalluvar. 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 Who is also very well known as a Dravidian genius, and he belonged to Balluva community. Therefore, his name is Tiruvalluvar. And Tirukural portray a Dravidian philosophy of life, which is different from the Vedic tradition, because he is a Dravidian genius, so definitely he has a philosophy of life of the Dravidian, which is completely different from the Vedic tradition. So let's have a look at it from the Dalit perspective. So Tirukul is secular and neutral towards all religion. He has written a book, that is called as Tiruvalluvar. His name is Tiruvalluvar. His written work is named as Tirukural, and that Tirukural, it is a secular one, and it maintains some neutral approaches towards all religions. And you can say this Tirukural can be said to be universal ethical text on the art of living. So this Tirukural has three parts. One is in Tamil language I am saying, and then I will explain you in English. One, the first part is Aram, the second part is Porul, and the third part is Inbam. The first part is Aram. Aram means any problem, anyone? The first part is Aram. Aram means moral values of life. Okay. Aram means moral values of life. And what is Porul? Porul means socio-economic values of life. And what is inbam? That means the psychological values of life. So by if you see his book, which has three parts. These three parts actually they maintain an ideal approach. They maintain ideal approaches to the different aspects of life. So how one has to be moral so that one can contribute for the growth of the welfare of the community, and how one is to look into the socio-economic values of life so that you can have a harmonious living, you can live with others in the society, and there is also a psychological values of life. Okay. So Aram, when we talk about Aram, the moral values of life, that means righteousness. Okay. It helps one in all ways. Aram is the material, intellectual, spiritual, and moral perfection of man. Okay. So it is not only a material perfection of man, it is not only, then he will be just like any one person having, any rich person having no ethical values. Similarly, only intellectual growth is there. No other growths are there. Yes, coming or something like that. Please mute yourself. So you see, there is the Aram means righteousness, and that righteousness Am I audible to all of you? Hello? Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. So you see, you can be righteous in your material life, in your intellectual life, in your spiritual journey, and in your moral life. That is what, because it is going to make you perfect. Okay. So similarly, uh, Valover is more concerned with the problems of life and ideal solutions of moral choices, because they are not following any scriptures. So they are directly dealing with the problems of a life that we face in our everyday life situations. And what will be the best solutions of the moral choices? What will be the ideal solutions of the moral choices? That is also taken care by the Valuvar in his book, in his written work, that is called Tirukural. Okay. So he is completely opposed to killing, because we are talking of righteousness, we are talking of intellectual righteousness, spiritual righteousness. So violence will not going to address an issue, because violence will create more violence, will multiply. So we have to. That may be one of the reason for which Vallabh completely opposed to killing, and he gives importance on inculcation of values, moral life in personal and social life, and aram is that which produces happiness of the society. Okay, so through righteousness, you see, your personal life will be an articulated one in all its different aspects, and it will contribute for the welfare of the social life. So, you know, when we discuss this, it seems us to that the good life it is not given, rather we cultivate a good life. Cannot say that good life is given to us by someone, by some supernatural being, or by someone else. But we can say that good life is to be cultivated. It has to be realized through continuous effort. You cannot aspire always for more and more. If you aspire for more and more, then you will never be satisfied. So what we have to do? We have to learn how to live with minimum things. That is the we can say that no, enough is enough. Nothing is there, but still you can say that enough is there. So you can say good life, you have to cultivate it, you have to realize it, and it is possible only through continuous efforts only. And you know, um, it prepares us to live an authentic life on this earth. Here I want to quote Socrates. When Socrates said, "An unexamined life is not worth living." An unexamined life. What does it means? An unexamined life means, can you live just like a beast? No. You are a human being. So that's why there is this differentiation. And an unexamined life means you have to examine, you have to see the activities that is going on in our life from the ethical lens only. So you can say our so you see at that time, at the ancient time, even Vallabha thought of that, and he said that by by realizing or by cultivating a good life, we have to prepare to live an examined life, or to live an authentic life on this earth. We can lead a, you can say that this life is enough. One life is enough, and in one life I can live the entire life. That is what Vallabha is talking of. So, you know, uh, by this we can, we lead a virtuous life, or you can say that we lead a virtuous living also. So, Turukural in Porulpal or in Porul deals with economic and political values of life. So it covers almost all the material aspects of life. So he lays down principles that should govern the conduct of wise and good men in the affairs of the world. Because you have to do some some business activities so that you can have a life and you can have a living and you can have some country, you can contribute for the society. So that is why Porul, the part of Porul, the second part of, mm, you know, uh, Torukural, the second part that is for Porul, it covers all the material aspects of life and it governs the conduct of wise and good men because in the society we not only need skilled men, we need good men, and for the good men, the first part that I have discussed for the good men, that is, aram is required, that the moral values that will contribute, that makes a person good man, and wise and good men are really required in the affairs of the world. So, the qualities like you can say nobility of social life, devotion for a social cause, commitment for a social cause, dignity, pride, mannerism, they are given importance. Definitely, all this because we have to, it is not the thing that we have to, I have to only concern about myself at the same time, I have to think of others. So, for that, when I think of others, when I think of the community of the society, I have to inculcate all these qualities like devotion for a cause, social cause, dignity, because everybody is allowed to live a dignified life, pride, mannerism, all are given importance. The primacy of farming is also given importance in uh, Torukural, where he says that because Porul deals with the economic aspects of the human life, so at that time agriculture is only the way of farming something because batter system was there. So you see, so in Torukural also uh, farming or agriculture is given primacy or importance. Okay, so you will not uh, think about only your good life, only your good living. At the same time, you have to think of the welfare of the state. So you have to make a balance, harmony between the individual good as well as the social good. So according to Tirukural, a good householder can only be a good citizen because the Tamil word illar, ILLARM, illar means virtue at home or virtuous family life. You see, there is a saying, charity begins at home. When you say that charity begins at home, so you are truthful, you are caring, you are a good human being. That all should begin from your home only. So the Valubar, he talked about another word that is ilaram, which means virtue at home, or you can say that virtuous family life. Because to practice virtue, it has to begin from your home itself. So it is meant for fulfilling social and you know, social uh, and social duties, you can say. So, because if I will be good for my family members, then I can extend that to my neighbors, and again I can extend that to my community. This is how things will move on, and we can do wonders. Okay. So it is meant for fulfilling the social duties in this sense, you can say. So there will be a paradigm shift, you can say there will be a transition from self-centeredness to self-sacrifice, from egocentric to other-centric. And if we cultivate these things, then you cannot remain a self-centered person. Rather, you can be a self-sacrificing person, and you cannot be an egoistic one. Rather, you can think of others. You cannot be individualistic. You can be an altruistic. So you can say these things we learn from our home. So you can say home is the center of love, compassion, and self-sacrifice. You see, suppose my younger brother loves something. I just I just keep the things for him because he will release the thing and he will be happy. So we sacrifice certain things. Similarly, we love all our family members, and that has to be extended, and uh, that should affect that. So it is just like a contagious one. It will affect the community equally. So, primary importance of family and the social life, the role of spouses, charity, gratitude, hospitality, equity, humility, discipline, and forbearance, this has to be practiced. So, at the same time, this work, it also warns against the evils, the social evils, you can say, adultery, envy, vanity, idle. It also discourages all these acts not to be practiced. So you can say by the practice of Boru, one can um, one can have a positive state of mind and a life of purity and virtue because you will not be envious towards anyone. So definitely you will maintain a good state of mind, a positive state of mind, a sound mind. So similarly, and it will contribute for a life of purity and virtue. So his understanding is that human person is the architect of his or her own fortune, own destiny. So you can say uh, this ancient Dalit thinker, he thought that every human being is the architect of his own destiny. So, by that, he is saying that there is no fate, fatalism is completely denied, and he is mainly concerned with the present and this world, which is which usually, or you see, which is the practice of all the Dalits community because they believe in this life, they believe in this world, and they do not believe in other world or things like that. So, Tiruvalluvar, he speaks of premarital and marital because he talked about the love of whom is the center of love, and regarding love he talked about premarital love and marital love. And the marital love is for him it is not only physical pleasure but of elevating human love of spiritual and ethical grandeur. The same line of thought you can see in the philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi, because Mahatma Gandhi defined love as love is that which ever gives, never claims. That is what is love he defined. So you can say that the marital love, that is even in the Dalit community in Odisha, in some of the tribal community, it is also premarital love is also in a practice, and marital love is also practiced in all the communities. You can say whether Brahmanic or Shamanic, in all the communities, marital love is there. And marital love never means about physical intimacy. Rather, it elevates the human love to a spiritual and ethical grandeur. And you can say, in other words, it is because you see, the entire Tiruvalluvar. the entire three aspects that is given primacy in his work, that is nothing but it shows a complete package of human life, because different aspects of human personality is a unison of both body and mind. If body is taken enough care and mind is neglected, then you are just like an animal. If mind is taken enough care and body is neglected, then you will be just like a machine. So we have to make a good combination of both the things, so that we can have a complete human being, we can have a complete human personality. And these three aspects, that is the virtual, that is the socio-religious aspects, as well as the moral aspects and the psychological aspects, that are taken care. And Tirubhalur, you can say he provided us a complete package of human life. Okay. So for him, life is a journey, and it is a journey towards destiny. And we are striving to reach the destiny. So Tirubhalar does not express his thoughts in Vidu. Vidu means liberation. He does not talk about liberation, and because he repeatedly in his work he gives importance in this world, in the in this life. And the because these are going to make the these are going to make a holistic development of the individual as well as the society. So this is all about the contributions of the of the ancient thinkers towards the Dalit philosophy. The contributions of the ancient thinkers towards towards the Dalit philosophy. And next we'll go to next we'll go to the contributions of the medieval thinkers towards the development of the Dalit philosophy. Contributions of the medieval thinkers, right? This is the block 2, I think. Sorry, this is the unit 2. Block 4, unit 2. So, when we talk about, just a minute, let me have some water. Particularly, you see, when we talk about the Indian scenario and we talk about the medieval thinkers for the development of the Dalit philosophy, we know that the if we have some knowledge of history, we know that in medieval period, particularly in India, Bhakti movement, it takes a very, you can say, very important place in the in shaping the Indian ideology and the Indian philosophical tradition. Okay, so you can say this Bhakti movement, it transformed not only the religious but also the social thought and life of the people in India. So it is you can say the those um, anyway, it is the rising of the indigenous wisdom and mass movement. So Bhakti movement, it is said to be a mass movement, and the proponents, they are from lower strata of the society. So ଦେଖା ହଉଛି କଣ? Those who are the pioneers of these Bhakti movement, those who are the torch bearers of this movement, they are they belong they are from the lower strata of the society. So you can say it is a cumulative, a part of the community of people. So out of that Bhakti movement, there is the rise of Sadhism, Shaktism, and Vaishnavism expressed in these movements. So different concepts like surrender, Saranagati, love, devotion, bhakti, they are the concrete philosophical contributions of the subalternates. So, in India, we can talk about at that moment, in particularly in Odisha, there is Mahima cult, and the propounder of the Mahima cult is, he is born blind, but he just did many wonders that so that's why and he's particularly he's saying it is written in the UN also, that is mojivana pache narke padithao jagat udhar hai. This is the thing, so when we talk about this bhakti movement, you know so we say that just we say that the sense of this bhakti movement, they did not create any new religion or a particular sect or a particular caste. They did not insist on the study of scriptures even. They believed in oneness of God. They were against image worship. It is a mass movement which is rightly considered as a subaltern movement. This is the very important thing because they says that it is a they do not believe in image worship because they are untouchable, so they will not be allowed to enter into the sanctum sanctum, enter into the temple. So they do not they protest they, or you can say that they were against image worship, even they were against temple, and they believe in only in oneness of the God. And it is a mass movement, and you can say that it is a subaltern. Rightly, you can say that it is a subaltern movement. As you know, as the so this subaltern movement definitely it is one of the Samanic traditions. And the Samanic tradition is opposed to the Vedantic tradition. And in Vedantic tradition, or you can say in the Vedic culture, Upanishadic teaching, they were abstract and speculative. Because in Upanishads, there is the discussion of Brahma. And if you see where that Brahma is, definitely in your mind the questions will be like this: Brahma Jiveva, Jiva Brahmeva, Naparaha. What is this? So you see that Upanishadic teachings, they are just like abstract and they are speculative. You can say that this is simply even the critics they says that this is this is what this is the statement of a lunatic, a madman. So, in that way, you can say Upanishadic teachings, they were abstract and speculative. They are far from the perception and thinking pattern of ordinary people. So, therefore, there is a need to address the emotions and concerns of the ordinary people. Okay. So, it is not that man always engages in doing in engaging himself in abstract thinking or in speculations, because man is a body mind spirit complex, so he has bodily needs, he has mental requirements, similarly he has spiritual needs. So what's about the problems that arise out of his emotions and concerns that needs to be addressed? So the Vedas, the Vedantas, the Shrutis, the Smritis, they are not going to address the problems of the emotion and the concerns of the ordinary people. So gradually there is an addition of Puranas and others. In Purana, there are Lakshmi Purana, how you observe the Thursday of a particular month, how you observe your everyday activities. So that is clearly stated, and that is in the language, not in the Sanskrit, that is in the language which is intelligible to any common man. Okay. So these are, you can say, these are the Puranas and the, and others, Bhagavad, you can say. These are the common people's literature, you can say, or you can say these are the common man's literature with common authorship. So there you see many pieces of the indigenous poetry, myths are connected to each story. There is a story in Purana. You see, there is a story, and many pieces of the indigenous poetry and myths are connected to it. So philosophy, ethics, cosmologies in the fashion of ancient stories, legends, fables, and parables that you can see in the people's people's literature or in the Puranas or others. So these people's literature, you know, these people's literature is very, very popular and enjoyed at all times. So, these are very popular, they are accepted, and people also enjoy it. So, during, uh, when we talk about this popular culture, this popular literature, again we can say that there is the the popular culture, and when we talk about the popular literature, when we look back, because when we talk about Dravidians, the aboriginals, and we always concentrated on the southern aspects of India, and we see that the Kanchi, the place Kanchi, it is referred to a great seat of Buddhist learning during the time of Quensa visited India, in the 7th century CE. In Pallava country, there are 100 monasteries where 10,000 bhikkhus lived, while there are only a small number of bhikkhus in the Pandya country. So there is, in southern side it is ruled by different clans, Pallava and Pandya, and it is seen that in the Pallava country, more monasteries, Buddhist monasteries are there in comparison to the Pandya country. Similarly, Jainism also had its influence in the Tamil country because it originated from Karnataka, so definitely it has its influence in the Tamil country from very early times. And the Jaina monasteries at Kuhar and Madurai support the prevalence of it. And when you talk about Kanchi, Kanchi is also a seat of Jaina culture, and Jaina monasteries were very influential. And Jainism and Buddhism, they attract people by appealing to logic and reason, because they are not, they were against the sacrifice practices of the Vedic culture and rites and rituals. So they approach people by reason and began to make rapid strides in south in comparison to the north. But but still, uh, you know, they um, they do not survive. You can say they do not stride as they were earlier. So because of the uh, again the you can say the dominance of the Brahmanical culture. So there is the emergence of Saivism, Shaktism, Vaishnavism in the southern part Saivism is there. So that So because when we talk about the emotion or the emotional aspect of a person, the intense emotional devotion to Shiva and Vishnu were characteristics of South Indian Bhakti movement. So when the Bhakti movement was there, and it talks about the intentional emotional devotion to both Shiva and Vishnu. And There was also a call for public debates that is named as Tattvartha, competing in the performance of miracles and testing the truth of the doctrines by means of ordeals. So that was the practice. So the once dominated religion like Buddhism and Jainism, they gradually lost their color, they gradually lost their ground. So the superiority of the Vaishnava and the Saiva faiths, mainly through their advocacy of bhakti, emotional surrender of the self to personal God, that we see in the southern areas, in the Pallava king and the Pandya king ruled, or you can say that in the southern part of the India. Okay, so that gradually we see. So, when we talk about the Saivism and the Vaishnavism, they because of the influence of the Bhakti movement, they are also advocating for more intense emotional, devotional prayer, by which you can attract the commoners to embrace their religion. So conversion of the kings along with the people, encouraging the saints and rise of building the huge temples that are seen as the trump of local tradition. So the king goes with his followers and embrace one particular religion. And similarly, there is high rising temples. You can see these are the trump of the local traditions that you can see. But you see, but when we talk about this bhakti movement, and in this bhakti movement, it is a you can say it is an extension of the Vedic culture. Again, definitely you will see the hierarchical power and the hierarchy, social hierarchy is there because of the Buddhism and Jainism, and that made a downtrend. But because of the Bhakti movement, there was the rise. You can say the rise of the both the rise of the social hierarchy or hierarchical power of the priest. You can say of Hinduism, that is also in the that we see in the Bhakti movement. The sense they emerged from various castes and that portrayed a picture that the bhakti is above all discrimination. That's why we say the bhakti has its Shakti. So, because though the Alavaras, the South Indian Vaishnavas, saints, they did not actively preach against the caste system, but they disregarded caste discrimination because it is said that the bhakti or devotion needs no caste discrimination. It is above all the caste discrimination. Okay. So, important among these bhakti saints of they are of Karnataka are the Madhvas and uh, Ba- Baseshwara and Basava led a crusade against the caste system and popularized the worship of Shiva in Karnataka. His followers they are named as Lingayatas because they worship Linga. So similarly, and uh, uh, you know, uh, there are in this way you can see how the bhakti movement influenced the southern part of the India. Similarly, we will see the bhakti saints in the northern part of the India, and in North India, the movement arose as a result of the Muslim establishment because usually so the invaders they come and settle in the northern areas of India, except for the political tyranny of few sultans and Mughal kings. The egalitarian outlook of the Islam and the conception of equality of all the followers were more appealing. So bhakti is you can say bhakti is one of the three ways to attain salvation, that is karma marga, jnana marga, and bhakti marga. In Bhagavad Gita, it is very beautifully explained that through karma, through niskam karma, one can attain that high step. Similarly, Jnana Marga, through Jnana, Shankaracharya is a follower of that Jnana Marga. So through Jnana, one can attain that highest state. Similarly, Ramanuja said that it is the Bhakti Marga which is the only means and it is the surest and the easiest means to attain salvation. Okay. So, uh, you can say the feature of the Bhakti movement in North is different from the Bhakti of the South. So, the um, 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 you can say the in the north side you can see there is Kabir, there is Nanak, and there is um, they make another new religion that is Sikhism, and you know Sikhism is a clear witness of subaltern and praising of equality and unity. So you also see another religion. Similarly, Ramananda, who hailed from the Vaishnava sect, was born at Prayag and lived during the last decades of the 14th century and the first of the 15th century. Particularly, he popularized the Bhakti movement in the north and his disciples they are from different castes and he has 12 very prominent disciples they they are from a Jat family they one of them is a barber, one of them is a cobbler, and one of them is a Muslim. So chief among these 12 disciples were Dhana, Saindas and Ravidas Kabir. So even Ramananda, he also gave equal status to women. So his most famous disciple was Kabir, and Kabir particularly, you know, he tried to bring harmony between Hindus and Muslims, and you know, Kabir and you know Kabir, uh, he was a he thought that Rama was not different from Allah, you see, or Rahim, you can say. So, uh, rather, instead of going to pursue in an external world, rather, Kabir particularly, he gives emphasis on the strict moral conduct of the human being and he disapproved the orthodox Muslim practices like adherence to mass performance of sunat and the practice like namaz, roja. Similarly, he also on the hardcore practices of the Hindus and he more resembled that of the Sufis. Sufi song, you know, that is the song in praise of the god. So he laid stress on ardent love towards the supreme god only. So you can say Kabir. Now you can talk if you want to relate it to the contemporary world. You can say that as Vivekananda was talking of universal religion, similarly Kabir was also talked about religious tolerance, talked about he discarded all the formalistic way of observing religion. He talked about universal religion and uh, he always condemned all the narrow and greed and sectarianism practices in the name of religion. Similarly, you know, Ballava, who is a devotee of Lord Krishna and urged unconventional love, condemning to carnal pleasures and or worldly pleasures to appeal to God. Similarly, you know, Chaitanya was strongly opposed to caste distinctions and ceremonials of the Hindus, but they do not, both of them, either you talk about Vallabha or you talk about Chaitanya, both of them, they do not or they did not condemn idol worship or pilgrimages. And you know, there is a story of Chaitanya who visited um, Lord Jagannath and during that time Jagannath was in another place uh, because of the heat. So ଅଣସର ଘରେ ଠାକୁର ଥିଲେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଯାଇ ସେଠି ଦେଖା କଲେ. He is so devoted ଯୋଉଠି ମୁଣ୍ଡିଆ ମାରିଲେ ସେଠି ପଥର ବି ତରଳିଗଲା. That story is there, you know. Similarly, another name, very prominent name, you can talk about Tukaram. Tukaram, you know, there are many bhajans and Tukaram bhajans, and he belonged to Maharashtra. He was also a prominent saint and spiritual poet of that bhakti movement. And outrightly, he is opposing caste hierarchy. And you know, Dalits are opposing the caste hierarchy in Hindu religion. And he is also opposing the rituals that were practiced in the Hindu religions. And he preached focusing on everyday behavior of human persons, how we have to behave in our individual level, in the public level, that he is focusing more and more. And his religion is to love the fellow human beings rather than observing some rites and rituals. So, uh, in all his poetic compositions, he touched upon various issues of the society, religion, human personality, and this is how we can say that he contributed for the development of the Dalit philosophy. And similarly, the popular Tamil Saiva, Devaram and others, they are the collection of the bhakti hymns of the saints, and they also sing popular hymns. I'm in a hurry, so I have to cover another thing. So you see, uh, Alavara mystics are there. Similarly, Natha Muni, who also retrieved and compiled this bhakti treasure, and uh, uh, their works enjoy the status of Dravida or Tamil Veda, and uh, these people, even you can talk about they talked about avatara, incarnation, and deep emotional attachment towards the Lord, and because this will make you psychologically fulfilling. And similarly, in the West, also in the South, also we see Saiva Bhakti. And when we talk about Saiva Bhakti propagates Charya, physical act of service as Dasamarga that leads to Saloko to be in the abode of God. So you see, bhakti is the for cyber religion. Bhakti is the basic power which has a deep root into the deep connection with the Dravidian and the subaltern people. You can say for them the aim in bhakti is to reach God through love only. So this is how the Saiva people they understand, and they says that one of the surest means of attaining God's favor is through bhakti by the practice of love, love to God, love to His devotees, and love to His creatures. So you have to spread love. Okay. So then again, Saiva Bhakti, it promotes about four ways of reaching God, and they are known as Dasya Marga. You see, once Lord is saying, if you will worship me, if you have devotion for me, I will become. So that is the thing is like this. আমাকে যে করে আস আমি করে তার সর্বনাশ তবু যে করে আস আমি হয় তার দাসেরে দাস. So this they are known as Dasamarga and Satputra, Satputra Marga and Sahamarga and Sanmarga associated with Charya, Kriya, Yoga and Jnana. Okay, with Charya. Charya means your conduct, your code of conduct. जोटा हमें yoga philosophy रे कहुचे कौन कहुचे ताको asana नहीं jama niyama that is known as charya, and that charya will make you that is associated with the samarga, and kriya. By your action the you can be the satputra, right person of the Lord, and by your yoga you can adopt the sahamarga, and by dhyana you can get the sanmarga. So these four means that will lead one to saloko, samipya, sarupya, and sajujya respect. So Dasamarga is service oriented. Dasa कौन करे? Service provide करे. So you will do your duty in the sense of doing your duty. So similarly, Dasamarga in Saiva Bhakti is described as washing and cleaning God's temple, gathering flowers. You will provide service to the Lord, to the temple, and making garlands of various types for adorning God with burning lights in temples and praising God and carrying out the behest of godly saints. Okay, so one will do all these things by if one belongs to the path of Dasamarga. So similarly, there are also actions related to that one is there. So in bhakti, bhakti is named as a popular philosophy. It is also named as people's philosophy. You can say bhakti movement, where you can say the all the saints of this movement they try to create a feeling of personal, a rapport between the devotee and God. So they think in terms of personal God. You are mine only. Oh Lord, you are mine only, and I am yours only. Personal God. So they say that God is a person. God is not at all abstract as is described in the Vedas. It is a person only, and God can be experienced in the concrete situations. God shares the experience of people. God is seen as any human being. He loves and gets angry, protects and needs a house. That's why temple building is there. As a family, needs rest at night. ସେଥିପାଇଁ ରାତିରେ ଆମେ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ପହଡ଼ ପଡ଼ିଯାଏ. Comes to visit people in their streets. All of these express the personification of God in terms of human experience, which is very much typical to Dalit philosophy. Okay, so he is you can the God in the Bhakti movement. It is purely an anthropomorphic one because we imagine God in the imagination of ourselves. Okay, so that is again in the bhakti because we say that God needs a home where he can rest. So it influenced the different emperors, kings, rulers to have the cholas and the all the emperors they build huge structures, huge temples. Okay, so there is also a temple culture you can find out there. Okay, so after that, there is also, after Saivism, there is Shaktism and Tantrism as a people's religion. So the worship of Shakti, it is very much ancient in India because there is a saying, Shiva without Shakti is Saba. Shiva without Shakti is Saba. It is said like this. So Shakti is very ancient in India and very much indigenous, you can say. Even in the Dalit community, they worship they worship uh, goddess Earth, goddess Earth. In almost all the community, they worship the goddess Earth. So the mother goddess, you can see they worshipped female deities were worshipped on the popular level from earliest times. So she is said to be Shakti is said to be a consort of Shiva, and she is known variously known as Shakti, Devi, Chandi, Chamunda, Durga, Uma, Aman, and Mahamaya. So, Shakti means usually what we mean by Shakti. Shakti means we understand the of power of existence, power of knowledge, and power of bliss. So even she is said to be the power of Maya, and uh, Shakti worship is the deities power in the form of his concept. So this is how the Shakti tradition also we see it is also prevalent in Indian communities, and the elaborate rites and theories that connected with Shaktism are also called the tantras to propitiate ତାଙ୍କୁ ସନ୍ତୁଷ୍ଟ କରିବା ପାଇଁ so that we can have material luxury and everything we have to there is an elaborate rites and theories, and that is associated with the tantras. So, in the tantra, the development of psychic power is sought by special yogic practices, depending upon physiological identifications. So, you see, you can say talked about Kundalini, that is where we particularly in yoga we talk about awakening the kundalini. So you similarly you see the we need the the tantric practices sadhana so that or the practice so that we can propitiate the Shakti, and this is the elaborate practice which is named as Tantra. And besides this, there are also the folk traditions are also there that we cannot deny. The folklores are also there that I have already discussed. So I think I should not discuss it anymore. The folk lore that denotes the rituals and the worships, beliefs, tales, and proverbs of the particular folk. And they have a they have a they are stories that which express that their rights are taken away by others by cheating, conspiracy, and that's why they are now made economically poor, social backward. So all the book stories from their birth to their death, that is there in their folklores. So again, there is also another tradition, another you can say another movement, tradition I should not say, another movement that brought a socio-religious revolution that is called the Siddha movement. Particularly, it is in the South India, and it displays a move intense anti-ritualistic, even anti-establishment attitude, combined with a radical social attitude, with an express disregard and contempt for the rigid social structure of medieval Indian society. That is called Siddha movement. And they are against the temple worship, and they say that the God is within us only, and for that worship is not required. So they are definitely because they are against the temple worship means they are against the Vedas and the mantras, and uh, they revolt against the all the caste systems. Okay, so this is all about the the medieval contributions, the medieval contributions for the uh, medieval contributions of the thinkers for the Dalit philosophy. Okay, so again, we just come to the next one. Just a minute. ये पानी पी लो. So we discuss about when we talk about the modern uh, thinkers' contribution for the Dalit philosophy, and Jyotirao Phule, who is always known as the Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, and his original name is Jyotirao Phule, but he is known as Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, uh, by whose name there is an university in Pune, Phule University, it is known as. He was an activist, you know, a thinker, a social reformer, philosopher, and a revolutionary. and he particularly focused more on ethics, religion, and humanism. He was, you'll be surprised to know that he was the first person who is interested for women's education in Maharashtra. Okay, and uh, he was born in a very low strata, in a that is the Mali caste, perceived to be inferior caste, and he has uh, mm, some Brahmin friend who has insulted the family members have insulted him and divide created by the caste system. So he developed a sense of social justice, becoming passionately critical about the casteism. Okay, so how to eradicate that casteism? He thought it is only through education and we can address the social inequalities. So he worked for or you can education, eradication of caste, empowerment of women, and widow upliftment, and removal of untouchability and commendable. He is a very well-known reformist for his efforts to educate women and Dalits, and he also advocated a perspective from Sudra and Ati Sudra social location situated in the duty soil, from the and that also he thought about the Sudra and the Ati Sudra. So, Phule said that freedom is essential for any human being, whether you belong to a higher caste or you belong to a lower caste, freedom must be there. And by freedom, he says that if he does not have freedom, then he is unable to communicate his thoughts. Beneficial that might be to do others, and consequently that must evaporate into the thin air. So he talked about freedom in the true sense of the term, and for that he also carried out his entire life for the upliftment of the Dalits. Okay, so Phule once said, "God is creator, governor and protector, and who is all holiness himself, and why this discrimination is there." So he openly opposed, Manusmriti because he thought that it is Manusmriti that is the main cause for this social hierarchy or for this caste hierarchy. So even there is also another name that is Ayothithas, another name that is Ayothithas, one from the elite-led nationalist movement and another from the subordinate people's quest for freedom. So they also talked. He belonged to the Buddhist movement and the Buddhist, and he particularly talked about against the caste hierarchy and against the uh, he is more concerned about human emancipation, human liberation that is only possible by shattering Brahmanical cunning ideals. So he was against the Brahmanical rights practice and prohibitions. So I am not going into detail to that. And apart from this, there is also again Buddhism also because in a time Buddhism takes the engages themselves in practicing the tantra, so therefore they are influenced by that. Again, there is the revival of the Buddhism, and you basically know that the Tamil Buddhism it remained a construct conceptual framework like that of the Hindu or Tamil Saiva constructs. So there is the revival of the Buddhism. It also played a vital role in the emergence of subaltern consciousness, and there is always a connection you find between the Buddhism was taken as an adequate challenge in tradition to the caste ridden tradition because Buddhist followers they were also named as Harijanas or Dalits. So, again, there is also another religion that is, you can say, subaltern religion. That subaltern religion where you can say you do good to others, do not sin, you purify your heart, and by that also, by the practice of Aram, Purul, Inbam, Vidu, that I have already told you, one can avoid one cannot be subjugated, one can lead a free and a very dignified life. Okay, so one can realize his personhood in the true sense of the term. And again, you see, there is also another like just like us, there is another Lakshmi Narasu who has also contributed for the Neo Buddhism. But I will talk a little bit about Narayan Guru. And Narayan Guru, he was a Dalit thinker, he was a social reformer and a sage in the modern period of India uh, who revolted against casteism and reformed the society by rejecting caste divisions in the society. So he was very fondly by the Dalits, he was very fondly named as Gurudev, and the Guru's philosophy is an example in his mystical writings that are truly interchanging wraps and webs of ethics, logic, aesthetics, metaphysics that are there in his rich poetry. And the Narayan Guru's literary works, they are in Malayalam, Sanskrit, Tamil, and um, uh, even Narayan Guru plays a very crucial role in transforming the society in Kerala. Uh, he used Advaita Vedanta as a tool for transforming the society because you talk about oneness. When you talk about oneness, so that metaphysical oneness is to turn into social reality. So, and he extended these Advaita concepts into a practical modes of self-realization through spiritual education, compassion, and all these things that you know. So, again, Narayan Guru's philosophy, it emphasized the consistency between true existence of the common reality on earth and one divine behind the creation, and that is, he talked about this. And even Narayan Guru's philosophy, it is Narayan Guru's religion, you can say, it talked about one religion which includes all the religions because all the religions they believe in spirit, and spirit is one, it is not many. So he talked about the oneness of God, and that is the oneness has to be understood in the light of the general teaching of him. So Narayan Guru uh, is an influential figure in the mentality of people, and particularly the Dalit community. Okay, and there is also others like Srinivasan. He was also a Dalit activist and a freedom fighter, and you know he um, um, he's particularly he also his legacy is continued in Tamil Nadu political party, and that is called as Vidhu Thalai Shiru Thaigal. So you see similarly MC Raja is there. He is also a Dalit politician, and he was the first member of the Dalit community to be elected to the Madras Legislative Council. And they have because they are social reformer and activists. So this is how they have contributed for the Dalit philosophy that you see now. Okay, just a minute. ତାର କଣ ଡାଉଟ୍ ଅଛି ପିଲାମାନେ ପଚାରିବ? Any doubt, anyone? Anything you want to contribute? ତମମାନେ କଣ କହିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛ କି? So vast, ମାନେ so at the present moment you see the Ambedkar and Ambedkar particularly he is vehemently opposing, opposing religion, and he said that religion should play as a life work, not as a life opposing view. Uh, and in the present time, you see the contribution of Ambedkar to bring a egalitarian society, and there is the philosophy of Ambedkar is there. So, uh, and Ambedkar initially he married, uh, he rebelled to his community, and then she died, and he finally married to a Brahmin woman who is a professor in Jyotiba Phule University, and uh, he was against caste system, and caste. He was against all the evil practices of the Hindu religion, I can say. So there is also another Tamil rationalist, a great country, B.R. Periyar. He has also his contributions are there that we cannot deny, and they have to be very, he Periyar very critical about religion, about Hindu religion, whether it is talking about the good thing or bad thing, because he's saying that religion should not act as a divisive force. It should not make any divisions. Even in the contemporary period, you can talk about Kansiram. Kansiram, is a Dalit leader, and
From BSP.
hello, yeah, yes, yeah, right. So there is also other peoples, like there are so many peoples those who have contributed for the, again we talk about, so we talk about the Dalit philosophy. So that from there is a gradual transition from Dravidian to now what we call Dalit. Okay. Any doubt, anything you want to submit, anything you want to ask, you can ask. You unmute yourself and kindly ask. Okay.
Ma'am, my name is
Yeah.
Tapas Ranjan Behra. Ma'am,
Hmm.
I have taken IGNO since last 2 years, but due to the paucity of time, I was not able to interact. And ma'am, it is very exciting to learn from you. Ma'am, can I know
No,
what?
no, you see,
Yeah, ma'am.
huh, huh.
Ma'am, can I know which paper you had been discussing today?
Dalit philosophy.
Okay, ma'am. But I
There is
just
a
I scanned through it, but ma'am, this comes we are discussion about bhakti and various movements. Ma'am, can I just
yeah,
can I know
yeah.
under
You
which
see,
chapter
what?
or heading it
Yeah, yeah,
comes?
yeah. I am just today. I have taken up the last unit, the last block of
Yes,
this
madam.
philosophy. Okay.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
When you see, when we talk about particularly Dalit, we just trying to see how that Dalit is that very concept, that very philosophy, whether it was there in the ancient period or gradually it developed. So that is the you can say that is what I have discussed in the entire blog. You see,
Okay.
there was I started from Dravidians. Okay, usually
Yes.
those Dravidians in the contemporary period, in the contemporary time, they are named as Dalits. Okay.
Okay.
ଯୋଉମାନଙ୍କୁ ଆମେ ଦ୍ରାବିଡିଆନ ବୋଲି କହୁଥିଲେ ସେଇମାନଙ୍କୁ ଆଜି ସମୟରେ ଆମେ ଦଲିତ ବୋଲି କହୁଛେ, that is the thing, and how the Dalit philosophy gradually developed, whether it was there in the ancient period. So you see, in the ancient period, there were two traditions. One is the Brahmanic tradition, I mean Vedic tradition, Vedic culture, and another one
Non-veg.
is the Shramanic culture or Shramanic tradition. Okay. In Vedic
Okay.
tradition, you see God is there, worship is there, sacrifice, Bali Pratha, ସବୁ ଥିଲା.
ठीक है sir.
Jainism and Buddhism, they came as a reactionary movement against these
Yes, ma'am.
practices of
Brahmanic.
Brahmanic tradition. Okay, so they are named as Brahmanic tradition. So that's why I talked about Buddha, his philosophy. I talked about Jaina. Not only Buddhism, Jainism, even Charvak, the classical materialists, Indian materialists,
Charvak.
they have also stepping the Dalit philosophy because the Charvakas they talked about, they talked about this world, this present life. There is no life after death. So even the Dalits, they also believe they have the philosophy of this world, this life. So we can connect the Charvaka,
Ma'am,
the
ma'am,
Dalits
I
with that Charvak philosophy. Yeah,
Ma'am, I have doubt over here, ma'am. I've seen, actually, I cannot quote you right now, but they do believe after, for example, one we have from Odia writer, I'm not able to, very famous tribal writer of Odia, from Odia, he was an IS officer also. He wrote that they believe in that giving offerings to the, forefathers, propitiating them,
yeah, offering forefathers, but
Yes.
forefathers are not gods, na?
Okay,
Offering
but
usually, you see,
okay, okay,
even
ma'am. I
you see.
understood. Now I could
No,
understood
no,
that.
no, 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 no.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Let me make the point clear.
Yes,
You
madam.
see, nowadays we cannot say that they are completely isolated, sitting in the lap of the mountains and nature. No, no, there
Okay,
is
ma'am.
cultural, uh, along with the
Diffusion.
no, along with the cultural conflicts, cultural diffusion is also happening, na?
Yes, ma'am.
Even they celebrate Ganesh Puja, they celebrate Durga Puja. So at the same time, they celebrate Pusa Parab, Am Parab, Vaisakhi, everything. Okay. So there
Yes,
is a
madam.
cultural diffusion is happening. But what I am talking about, usually they give importance on three things. That is
Yes, madam.
preservation. They want to preserve the nature, their ambience, everything. And second one, they used to procreate so that their generation will continue, their race will continue. And another one is production. So that's why they celebrate Parab. Only after harvesting, they have a little bit money and they want to enjoy it. They also celebrate harvesting, production. So these
No,
are
ma'am.
the only the,
Yes, ma'am. I have
yeah,
now I have begun to realize that what you are saying, it is true because in many of the books,
is-
nowhere they have spoken of the tribal literature that I have read. No, tribal popular story, whether it is Chinua Achebe
yeah,
or from Indian writers, they nowhere they have spoken about afterlife, but yes, they have spoken about offering to their forefathers. Now, yes, ma'am, I have got it. So whatever doubt I had, yes, ma'am, I got it. Yes, ma'am, you are true.
no, no. You see, if you read, am I audible?
Yes, madam.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, madam.
You see, if you read their cultural, their practices, their even their observation in the rituals, in certain rituals, you see, their worship and our worship is completely different.
Yes, ma'am.
Because once, if you visit there, they have not temple just like we have the structured temples.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, hello.
Yes, madam. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm audible. Yes, ma'am. You are audible to me.
Yeah, they have not that temple structure also. So they have only a shifted one under a huge tree. They just put
Pa-
some stone slabs and they put sindur and they worship. So everything is different, and the approach of worshiping is different. In our in the Vedic culture, you can say we have a very lavish style of worshiping. Ghio asibo, fulo asibo, all this. But they live, they have the philosophy of living with minimum. That is a That is a very great thing that we must learn from them. Okay,
Yes, madam.
they can how one can live with minimum. That is what you can learn from them. Okay,
Yes, madam. They believe in this computers
anything you
philosophy
want to
of
add?
small is beautiful and modern environmentalism.
Just a minute, I'm not able to hear. Just a minute. Now you speak.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. While realizing we tend to think that tribals are primitive, but the modern movements of say environmentalism, they have pioneered that living harmoniously, and that's computers philosophy of small is beautiful again of small resources. So they have pioneered that, and yet we say them they are the uncivilized. That is the
If
irony.
if we follow their pattern, they do not have the concept of complete exhaustion. If they will
Yes, ma'am.
visit to any place, they will not completely adjust. But the so-called literate people, they believe in complete exhaustion of a thing. So we can learn many things from their lifestyle that we usually do not do, but we can learn many things from
Yes,
their
ma'am.
lifestyle, from their how they treat the nature, how they deal with animals. That you can they are very much, they are very much associated with nature. So they can read the nature, they can read the animals, whether the animals will attack you or not, or the animal is simply relaxing. They observe the nature in such a beautiful manner. We cannot say that they are uncivilized, they do not know nothing, they do know nothing, we know better than. This is how we cannot make the statements like this.
Ma'am, since you have already spoken for 2 hours and I won't like to exhaust your energy much, ma'am, I have just one another personal question. Ma'am, I have a paper from ethics. Can you just suggest me some of the very simple books? Ma'am, ignores actually I don't know if ethics classes are supposed to be conducted in future or if they have been already been conducted. So if it has already
You
been
have
conducted, I have
ethics,
missed them. Can you just suggest me some of the simple ethics? Books
you have ethics.
available in the market.
I think
Ma-
I taught the ethics paper, you have not joined.
Ma'am, I think, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Record,
Yes, ma'am,
record, recording will be
I,
provided to you. You can go through the recording. But for
oh,
basic reading, you
ma'am,
must
which is
have
available in
the
the market, ma'am, because many of the professors
yeah
tend to provide the
yeah
list which is there unavailable actually.
yeah. I understand. So for
Yes, madam.
basic understanding, you refer the book of Jadunath Sinha, a manual of
And that is,
ethics. Okay,
mm, ma'am,
you write
I
down.
went through it during my college days, but it was the wording again was very difficult. I found it very difficult.
No. A manual of ethics is a very,
Ethics by
very. I,
Jagannath
I,
Sinha.
I tell you, I tell you, this is a very, very easy book on ethics. You
Okay,
might
ma'am.
have not gone as one is supposed to do.
Yes,
You kindly
I
go.
just flipped few pages.
Yeah.
I
That
had
is the reason. But you go through that, it is so easy and
okay,
it
ma'am.
covers all the chapters. Okay, so you
Okay,
will
ma'am.
have a very
Okay,
good
madam.
understanding. Basic
Okay,
book
ma'am.
is that you go through that. Okay, okay,
Ma'am,
okay.
is
Anything
ma'am the recordings? Ma'am, are there? I mean, can I have those recordings that you? I mean, how can I get those recordings?
recordings? I think your teachers will. I mean, IGNU will provide you. I think so. I am not sure. It I
Okay,
am not
ma'am.
sure.
Yes, ma'am, because of those recordings, then there is. I have not seen any recordings being provided, so it might not. I mean, that so
No.
facility may not be available.
I think after the completion of this course, they will provide you systematically, okay, for
Okay.
you, so that
Okay, ma'am.
you will not be confused. Yeah, that might be there in
Okay.
their agenda. Okay,
Ma'am, thank you very
okay.
much for your time.
Go through the manual of ethics. If you face any problem, you can ask me at any point of time.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So call it a day. Thank you. Thank you all.
Yes, madam. Namaskar, ma'am.